Good afternoon. I'm Larry Reisman, community editor and columnist from TCPalm, the Press Journal and Treasure Coast newspapers, and I'm gathered today with I've got Ryan Lloyd with me from Indian River County Emergency Management. I'm getting a little feedback, Adam. I'm not sure what that's about, but anyway. So, Ryan, just thank you for joining us today. I know we've got Hurricane Milton to talk about, and I came home probably just like everybody else watching this now and wondering what's going to happen over the next few days. So how do things look like to you?
Well, I guess it depends on what you're talking about. Certainly things look very bad on the West Coast, and our hearts, feelings, and well wishes go out to those folks. In terms of a local standpoint here on the Treasure Coast, or specifically Indian River County, so much of what we're going to experience is going to depend on the actual post-landfall track of the storm. The further south that the storm comes in on the West Coast, the more severe our weather conditions could be. The further north that it goes, and obviously that fares better for the weather conditions that we could sustain here. We're telling our residents to be ready for a tropical storm for sure, but also to be prepared for hurricane force gusts or maybe even possibly sustained hurricane force winds. It's not off the table. There's still several forecasts away from Wednesday, which I believe Wednesday evening is kind of the target on when it's going to make landfall. So that's our messaging right now is let's use our time wisely, get prepared for a potential Category 1 hurricane type of conditions. And let's certainly not let our guard down, even though the forecast did shift a little bit to the north since the last time we reviewed one.
So we've got to watch, say, every 6 or 8 hours for the updates and try to, figure out where it's going to go. And how will we get that information?
Well, we get our information directly from the National Hurricane Center and also the National Weather Service. By all means, I'm not saying that other meteorologists don't have credibility. That's not what I'm saying. But we then take that information and we prepare flash reports and briefings. But I would be tuned into the National Hurricane Center and also the National Weather Service, specifically the National Weather Service Melbourne office, which covers our listening and viewing area.
Thank you. And when would we get information such as evacuations and things like that, if that would come to be?
Well, we have policy. We've had some policy group meetings today. We've also got some executive policy group meetings tomorrow. We still have a lot of forecasts to look at. And before we can start making any of those determinations, we need a little bit more information that's updated and current just based on where Milton's going to go. If there were any evacuation notices, I think we'd be probably looking in the Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe.
Okay, so that would that be like Tuesday afternoon, do you think, or Wednesday morning, those kinds of things, or you don't really know yet?
It's just we really don't know yet. It's certainly things that we're talking about. We're looking at different scenarios, the speed of the storm, where it makes landfall. The storm did slow down a little bit, so that's something to keep an eye on. Also, the strength of the storm and what kind of conditions we're expecting, here at a local level.
Okay, what about things like storm surge and stuff like that? Would that be a big issue with this storm?
Right now, no. Storm surge for the East Coast, or at least for the Treasure Coast, does not seem to be a major factor. Something obviously to keep an eye on, because I think that all hazards are potentially in play. Some areas, again, this is based on the forecast track, could go up to 4 to 6 inches of rain. There might be localized heavier areas of precipitation, but storm surge, to answer the question directly, does not appear to be on the top of the list. It's still there, but it's not on the top of the list of environmental concerns that we have.
Thanks. When we look back to things like Nicole or any of the other prior storms that came from the West Coast, Ian, is there anything you could compare this to, or is every storm completely different?
Well, every storm's completely different. There's been a lot of folks that said that this is kind of an unprecedented storm, that we haven't had, potentially this kind of track since the 1800s. From a standpoint of what we're seeing in the forecast, this has an Ian feel to it. It looks like the landfall is going to be, more north of where Ian came in the Lee County, Naples area, Fort Myers region. But this storm is definitely different in that it's going a little bit more to the north, possibly Tampa, Sarasota, maybe even north of Tampa, and then coming across the state. So it's definitely different. But in terms of the conditions that we're expecting, at least as of right now with current forecasts, it has an Ian feel to it, I guess, for a lack of better terms.
Okay. And then when we look at further communication from the county, what's the best way to get information directly from the county in terms of things like closures, evacuations, shelters, if those all come to pass?
Yeah, so I would go to the Indian River County Gov website. Additionally, the emergency management, we have a website as well where things are posted. We also have a host of social media websites that includes Nextdoor, Twitter, Facebook. We have an Aware and Prepare app, which is free for all users. And we also have another function called Alert Indian River, where weather alerts get directly posted from the National Weather Service. So what I'm saying is the National Weather Service has direct access to post watches and warnings when they become put into place to the viewers not to the viewers, but to the people that are subscribed to those services. Those services are free. They should work for Android and Apple. And additionally, for Alert Indian River, the user can tailor what kind of alerts that they want. So if they don't want 50 lightning alerts, they can go in there and tailor those down to the things that they're actually looking for and are wanting to have.
Okay, thank you. What about so if we're looking at here now, we're just about before 5 o'clock, and there'll be another update, I guess, coming out shortly. What would you recommend people do now over the next however many hours? How many hours do we really have? What should we be doing now?
That's a great question, Larry, and thank you sincerely for asking that. We want our residents to be getting themselves prepared. Hopefully, they're already prepared, but if there's still some things they need, we want people to be prepared for the potential of a Category 1 hurricane. Ideally, it would be good to have all preparations done by tomorrow evening. Based on the forecast and the little bit of a shift that we had to the north, there could be some time in the earlier Wednesday morning hours, but we feel that the best safety buffer for everybody to get prepared is to have that done by, let's say, the close of business or tomorrow night. We're wanting people to be prepared for power outages. That's certainly in play and on the table. If you have any sort of yard debris, et cetera, that's around that can become airborne and potentially hazardous, now is a really good time to be picking those things up and getting yourself ready.
I appreciate your coming on today, Ryan, and good luck with this. I know you're busy, so thank you again for taking the time, and hopefully we'll see you again tomorrow.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And again, we're wishing all the best and whatnot for the people that are on the West Coast, wherever this, actually does make landfall. It's clearly obvious that this is going to be a historic hurricane, at least in modern Florida history. And we're just hoping for the best for everybody, all the Florida residents, and also the visitors alike.
Thank you, Ryan. And again, for anybody watching out there, you can keep up with things at tcpalm.com or the Indian River County website. It's social media. pages and also the National Weather Service. Thanks again, Ryan.
Larry, we appreciate your partnership, and thank you.
Sure thing.